so many missed opportunities when it comes to black people doing the ask from politicians. And we sit back and wonder why we don't got nothing because we don't ask. So how does the National Association of Black Journalists invite Kamala Harris and invite Trump to a pretty much town hall roundtable type discussion? Kamala does not show, doesn't even reply yes. Trump replies yes, he shows up. And instead of the committee taking the time to ask questions to Trump about what his policies are for Black America, what he plans on doing this time around for Black America, and giving him the opportunity to speak his piece, they attacked him. This is exactly what I'm talking about. How was that beneficial? Instead of sitting back saying, hey, last time in 2020, you had something called the Platinum Plan. What is your goal this time? Nope. It started late and then spent 30 minutes trying to get him roused up for clickbait instead of allowing it to be a situation where he can come in and explain his policies and what he thinks he's going to do for the Black community to earn the Black vote. Another failed, missed opportunity. But yet, you sit around praising these people for what? Doing us an injustice.
Issue is, can she articulate an argument? How is she going to talk about the fact that she was in the building when the border went to chaos, when the economy went down the gutter, when we have a world in disarray, when the combination of Biden and Harris...
The economy is not in the gutter.
Okay, Brian, I know it feels that way to most Americans.
I think the reality is that, as I've said, you've had America... Look, Democrats spent my entire adult life talking about the fact that the stock market was not a measure of the economy, that we should not be giving the American people a macroeconomics lesson. And now all of a sudden they don't seem to care about the fact that the inflation is outpacing the wages. So yes, I get it that
inflation is not outpacing.
Inflation has outpaced the wages.
You don't think inflation's a problem?
I didn't say it's not a problem. I think it's not outpacing wages. Let's just use the fact.
Inflation has outpaced wages literally the entirety of this
All
And tell me what appeals to you about Trump.
His business acumen. When Donald Trump was president, we were all doing a lot better financially. He's always been a business icon, so why wouldn't we want that business icon to be president?
And he had this to say about Harris.
I think she hasn't done anything worth mentioning.
What would you have wanted to see Vice President Harris accomplish that she has not?
I would have liked her to kind of bring a calm to the border. The border crisis has gotten out of hand.
I'm going to make the argument why nobody should vote for Democrats in 2024, right? And as you saw from the intro, you saw how the Republican strategists pointed to policy, the negative outcomes coming from these good intentions of Build Back Better, but you saw the aftermath. Biden and Harris was in charge of an administration that produced the highest inflation in 40 years. In 2022, I believe, month over month, they're averaging about 9% interest, 7% interest. It was insane how hot inflation was in 2022 for the fact that they had to pass a bill to reduce the inflation. And even then, inflation stacks on top of each other. And everyone feels it. Every American's buying power is 20% less than when the last administration was in office. You saw from the intro as well, I had showed you a Black entrepreneur who says that, Kamala hasn't done anything of note. And this is the same argument that I've been hammering time and time again. And it seems like I haven't gotten a substantive answer yet. All I get is some people calling me names. All I get is people trying to shame me, but they forget something, that I don't care about their validation. I have these questions, and if you can't provide me the answer, then you ain't going to get my vote. And I think a lot of Americans are waking up to the smokescreen that the Democratic Party is trying to go by. People are complaining now, especially on X, that, Trump is focused too much on race. But in my head, I'm like, if you asking race-based questions, you're going to get a race-based answer, right? Like, so far, this whole association of Black journalists, that conference with the Black journalists, has been grasping the consciousness of the news merely from the fact that Trump is getting a good positive feedback from that debate. I'll say it's a debate because it wasn't a discussion, it was a debate from that reporter. And my argument there is the fact that people are honing in on, okay, if you want to make it a race issue, then be truthful about your identity, Kamala Harris. And in a way, they lean into identity politics, and I'm talking about the Democrats because the Democrats don't have any policy that actually benefit the American people. I'm taking race out of it. What policy position does Democrats have that will benefit the American people? And if you're a Democrat, if you're a vote blue, no matter who kind of person, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to independents because I'm making my case to them. Because my argument is independents. Can you trust someone that doesn't have a policy position, who doesn't want to tell you where they stand? They don't want to tell you what intention they have for the federal government. All you can go by is past comments. But every time you go back and review past comments and you make a decision based on their past commentary, the media of today is rewriting events or reframing events as, oh no, that's not the case anymore. Oh no. That was a misnomer on our part. That was a mistake on our part. Deleting her voting record as senator in 2019 so you don't get to see it. Can you really vote for somebody that's actively having a political machine like the mainstream media hiding information from you? Compared to Trump, where every chance they get, if they can find anything negative to say about Trump, they'll put it out there. Compared to Harris and Trump, who is the most transparent candidate? Who is the most investigated candidate? Who's the most vetted candidate? Trump is. That's one reason why I say you should vote for Donald Trump. Because you know all his faults, all his positives. You know who he is. That's the most honest politician you're going to get in the race. Donald Trump is the most honest politician you'll get in this race. Because he gets fact-checked. He gets hostile interviews. He gets corrected. No one holds back with Trump. But with Kamala, you get this sense of she's the media darling. Oh, no one wants to ask her a tough question. No one's going to tell her she's wrong about anything. No one's going to fact-check her. And to me, that should give you pause. Why wouldn't you want to question candidate? Why are you not treating them both consistently? Like, because my argument to the middle is I wouldn't even be able to make this case if the media was consistent between Trump and Harris. But it's obvious the way the media treats Harris versus Trump. They're not interested in Harris's lack of transparency when it comes to her policy platform. They don't even seem to care about policy. All they keep stoking up this hope of, oh my God, look at the enthusiasm. They're just trying to drum up enthusiasm on their side. Oh, look, we got a fresh face. We got a fresh new candidate. And it seemed like that's the only thing they seem to focus on. And then when we level criticism against her, oh, she's incompetent. She's very liberal. She's very progressive. Hey, she's wishy-washy on her identity as much as she is on her policy. You're bigot, sexist, racist. You see where they go towards? It's a smokescreen. And in this clip, I love the commentary from this lady. I've been using her clips a lot. Her name escapes me right now. But she'll show you how they're trying to divide us by our identity politics. How identity politics has ruined our politics to the point where people are trying to segregate themselves in accordance to what benefits Democrats. Because like I said, Democrats can only win elections if we divide ourselves based on our identity. Let's take a look.
It is so disgusting and so racist, and they want you to think that because they are dividing themselves by race to help a Democrat, it's not racist. It is. It's disgusting. But also, it is a smokescreen for the class divide. We are not divided by race in this country. We are not divided left versus right. We are divided, the united working class, multiracial, multi-ethnic versus the elites. Wherever you see people trying to racialize things, they're trying to get you to lose sight of the fundamental truth that as Americans, more unites us as divides us, and the working class has been abandoned by both sides, and the Democrats have nothing to offer them. That is why they are trying to racialize this and make it about identity, because they have no policy to run on.
Boy, it's good. I'm not sure. That's it, folks. I can leave. I'm Kudlow.
Tonight, what do you think the Trump camp's play is here?
Well, I think their play, I've heard people say this is not about the past, it's about the future. I think some of their play is it's about the present, and the present vice president of the United States is going to have to navigate her record sitting right beside Joe Biden in the White House as they have overseen historic inflation, overseen historic crisis at the border. I mean, people have real quality of life and cost of living concerns. That's the present reality for most working people in Georgia and in every other swing state. And I also think they're going to talk about what Kamala Harris has said in her own words. Confiscation of guns, banning fracking, having violent people vote in prison. She's got a long liberal record, and I don't think there's going to be too many Republicans in Georgia sign up for that. So I think what Trump and Vance are going to talk about is present conditions, what her plans might look like, because it's what she said she wanted to do when she ran for president in the first place.
I just want to highlight another reason, right? is the residents of Clinton Hill, New York City, are fuming after a shelter for illegal migrants in their neighborhood, right? They say the shelter makes them unsafe. 97% of the residents voted for Biden Harris, right? These people here. And the funny part I would like to ask is, when we vote for policy, right? Too many people vote for the intentions of a policy, right? The intentions of a politician. Intentions is something that humans, we're not equipped to really read. We're going to judge things based on action, based on past performances, based on past habits, because that's a better indicator than what we are assuming will be the intentions of a policy. Taxing the rich, rent control, what else? Price control policies. These things have been tried before. So as an American who knows the history of these policies and how they perform, the results are already in. These things don't work. These things don't give the intended outcome that you wanted, or people are not fully aware of the trade-offs they're making when they demand these things. Tax rate just means there's going to be less tax revenue coming in, which means there's going to be even bigger budget deficit compared to our spending. You don't believe me? Look at FDR's administration when he had 90% income tax. He wasn't getting the tax revenue that he thought he would. And this is the reason why we need to stop judging things based on intentions, because that's the only thing these Democrats like to play. I want to highlight this tweet that I saw from Dr. Daryl Scott. When Biden was in the race wasn't mentioned. Now Dems want to turn it into a race for a black versus white election, and people are falling for it. Another thing people are falling for as well is the fact that Kamala Harris and her team, they're not focusing on an intellectual messaging, right? They're only focusing on emotional messaging. And emotional messaging, like I always tell you, nothing ever gets done with emotional messaging. What needs to be done now is in 2025, we're heading, if you're looking at the economy, we're heading for a time where it's going to be really pretty tough for us. It's going to be a pretty tough time for us, especially with inflation, foreign wars, foreign diplomacy. Do you want someone like Kamala to be in charge of foreign affairs, foreign policy, right? You already see that she's mucking stuff up now. Reason why?
The U.S. is experiencing record inflation, the worst in 30 years, way beyond expectations. OPEC didn't increase oil production. Can you tell us a little bit about how you would prevent the new spending in your Build Back Better agenda from exacerbating the problem? And also, what else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously. But there is also a point that is important to make on the Build Back Better framework.
Oh, this is going to be a good one.
One, it is designed to make it less expensive for working people to live.
This was made in 2022. Now, let me ask you, that was the intentions, right? What are the results? Cost of living is still high. All you single women that love to vote for Democrats, it's harder for you to actually be a single woman in 2024, right? 2019, y'all was on girl boss. I don't need no man. I'm strong and independent. Y'all doing all this. Y'all twisting your neck. Y'all was, because good times. It was good times. We were in good times. Now we're in bad times. We're heading towards even worse times if this keeps up. Now on this internet, y'all ain't thumping your chest the same way. I'm just noticing single women. I'm just noticing there's articles out there that being single will be considered a luxury now because you won't be able to make it at all on one income, the way inflation's going, the way the economy's going. Now I hear the Fed wants to cut the rates, but this is one thing I like about the Federal Reserve. This is why I say the Federal Reserve should be ended. Because every time they cut the rates, right? This is what they did in 2022. Every time they cut the rates, inflation comes up higher. And they go, oh, we might have cut the rates too soon, too early. Our supporters makes it worse. Like, we cannot reward this political party. I'm sorry. You can't reward. It's being dishonest. It's doing things for its own benefit. Giving illegals. Y'all think I'm lying? If the people who vote for this ticket voted 97% for this ticket, but now are complaining about illegal migrants, making them feel unsafe, doesn't that show you that, hey, look, this is the outcome of your choices, is now it's time for a change? That's what a smart and rational people will do. And it's time for America to be smart and rational right now. It's time to stop voting with our feelings. Stop voting based on identity. These things are unsubstantive. They don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Big Tent, America, we have to vote in lines of what will benefit all of us. That's the point of federal elections. And the fact that there's people voting based on what illegals could do, right? Taking advantage of your sympathy, when in reality, illegals help Democrats stay in power and control. Something's happening in our country. It'll be too late if we don't act. This is according to Brandon Tatum. An illegal migrant from Venezuela left her receipt at the grocery store, and cashiers took a picture of it. The food stamp was $13,000. $13,000. Remember those the 10,000 debit cards? 31% people were unaware that census counted all people, including illegal immigrants, for deciding how many house seats each state gets. When I ran the same poll earlier this year, that number was 51%. Imagine that. Majority of Americans at the time did not know that the census counted illegal immigrants into deciding how much house seats you get. And when Republicans try to pass a law to restrict the census to only count American citizens, who fought 100% against it? Democrats. That's another reason why you shouldn't vote Democrat. They're not in the best interest of Americans. Because I already showed you the bet. Look, you think this is the best interest of Americans, having a $13,000 balance where you pay 100% of the cost, American citizen? How is this fair to your citizens? But the Democrats are doing it because they benefit from it. They get more house seats, the more illegals that come into their country. See, I can even make a political motive attaching to sanctuary cities. It's not because out of the kindness of their hearts the Democrats want sanctuary cities. No, it's out of a political control and manipulation. Hey, we want to cook the books and give our Democrat voters more sway in the election. As an independent, as a Republican, as Americans, we should be against illegal immigrants being counted as part of our census. But we're doing it anyway. And then when we try to rectify the situation, majority of Americans agree that only American citizens should be counted in the census, since only American citizens will be allowed to vote. Right? These Democrats, they show you blatantly what they're about. Dems talk to white voters intellectually about the economy, foreign policy, domestic policy, immigration, inflation, national security, etc. They talk to black people emotionally about race. They never give black intellectually reasons to vote a certain way, only emotional reasons. And this is why I'm so strong against Kamala Harris. This is why I have the confidence and bravado to say Kamala is incompetent. Kamala is a DEI hire. Kamala doesn't even deserve to be president right now, like a presidential candidate right now. On her own merits, she failed. And she got into office, right? She's the presumptuous nominee only because the Democratic elites messed with the process and was able to get her in that seat. But she didn't win that of her own accord. No voters voted for her of their own accord. Tell me I'm lying. But what they do? Oh, Trump is racist. Oh, look at the racial attacks that Trump is making against Kamala Harris. Y'all paint any criticism as racism against Kamala Harris. Imagine, remember what was stated? When it was Biden, no, race didn't come into the conversation at all. Now, all of a sudden, a person of color, woman, comes in, and now that's all the media wants to talk about. That's all the media wants to distract from. Instead of distracting from her record, the impact of illegal migration on wages and employment opportunities for blacks is heavily documented. Since 2008, they've been documenting this. There's evidence of economic loss and job opportunity costs to black workers attributable to illegal immigration. And what does not NPR, what does Axios say? Trump says migrants are taking black jobs. Reality check. There are no black jobs because there is not a kind of racial requirement for employment. Black people have all kinds of jobs, from vice presidents to hedge fund bros to journalists and so on. Okay, let's take this argument. There's no such thing as black unemployment. There's no racial requirements for unemployment. Let's play the game then. But everyone knows what I mean when I say black unemployment. And then people are fact-checking her, fact-checking the media. This is another sign why you shouldn't vote Democrat. The media is 97% Democrat. 97% of journalists are Democrats. They're not incentivized to expose their candidate. And every day they prove their bias to be true. Readers add context. From the U.S. Commission of Civil Rights, the impact of illegal immigration on wages and employment opportunity. Oh, they just repeated what she just put here. People use this as their fact check. Imagine that. The U.S. Commissions of Civil Rights listed out how it affects black people. So black people, you're voting against your own best interest, right? This is why Malcolm X, since the 1960s, was calling y'all political chumps. Black Democrats I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Roland Martins of the world, where they support, Roland Martin supports school choice, but does the Democratic Party support school choice? No. They want you to stay in failing systems. They want to keep rewarding them because at the end of the day, the government program, the government school seems like a job employment program for adults. The incentive is to employ people, to fluff up their unemployment numbers, to fluff up their job numbers, instead of actually making it efficient like Twitter, right? You cut half the workforce because it was bloat. But government's not incentivized to actually have solutions. They're incentivized to justify their intervention. And the Democrats heavily lean on the government side. They want bigger government, less efficient government. I could keep bringing down the line. Every policy, every negative outcome that's going on in our country today, you can associate it back to a Democratic policy. FDR, redlining, anyone? Black people love to complain about redlining, but that started with FDR, with his New Deal. Segregation, Woodrow Wilson, Democrat. He expanded the government even bigger. He's probably the reason why we started on this trend of spending trillions of dollars. So sorry, like government spending. He think government could do everything because he was a big ass progressive. And you think in 2024 is a good idea to elect a progressive right now called Kamala Harris? I don't think so. But yeah, I think I gave my reasoning. They only appeal emotionally, right? They don't have any policy to stand on, really. They don't want a policy debate. It seemed like every time you level any criticism, they paint it as a racial attack. And emotional people, and this is who Democrats cater to, and this is why I don't want to support Democrat, why no American should support Democrat, is because they have conditioned the minds of the American people to see everything as a racial attack, right? That's why they try to cast Trump as racist, because for the Democrats to win, they have to divide people. Because they don't have policies that caters to all Americans. They give special favors. Here you go, here you go, here you go. But when you examine those special favors, they're detrimental to the people in the long term. And that's what Democrat policy has always been. Detrimental to the long term. Everyone was happy. Oh, look, all this government spending. Oh, look, another stimulus check, Biden's stimmy check. And then Biden's stimmy check was not needed because the economy was already recovering. And that was the main point of why we suffered record high inflation. Sometimes I believe that Democrats focus so much on vibes, they focus so much on framing, is because they try to condition people to have a certain conclusion about somebody. This is why they like to call Trump Hitler, racist, all this other stuff, because they're trying to get emotional people to be scared of going to the other side. And Democrats don't change their tactics unless they lose. And it's time for America to make them lose. I don't care if you sit on the couch. I don't care if you vote for RFK. Honestly, all I'm saying is don't vote Democrat in 2024. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What's your thoughts about what I said in the comment section? You agree, disagree? Let me know some of your reasons why people should not vote for Democrats in 2024. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys for watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.